Hello, everyone. We've still got a few minutes, so grab a drink, make yourselves comfortable, and in the meantime, enjoy some amazing Vantage content from our users.
By the end my face was sore from your stubble, but I still wanted home. And in the evenings when we settle in bed, it's like you're in my head. How did I get so lucky? So I say it again and again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Vantage 2 webinar. It's great to see so many of you here today. My name is Jake, and I'm a 3D artist here at Chaos. And I'm excited to be joined by Simeon, the Senior Product Manager of Chaos Vantage, and Andrea and Márton from Brick Visual. They're going to be discussing how they're using Vantage to create stunning animations. And the presentation is going to be about 40 minutes, and then we'll have around 20 minutes for Q&A. And there is a Q&A section down at the bottom of your screen where you can ask any questions, and we'll go through those towards the end of the webinar. And we will also be recording the presentation, and we'll share that after the session. But for now, I will pass over to Simeon.
Thanks, Jake. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing good. Today, we're going to talk about sharing the story, actually, of how this the video that you saw for the Vantage 2.0 release was created from our bricks at our friends at Bricks Visual. They actually did an amazing animation harnessing the power of Chaos Vantage, which was and this animation was specifically crafted for the release by Andrea here and Márton. The important bit, or one of the important bits here, is that everything in this animation was rendered with Vantage. But before we go into all in detail about this making of, let us play the video and enjoy together with the audience. That's amazing. Right. Okay, so yeah, we have here Andrea and Márton, who are going to walk us through the whole process. Andrea is the art director of the video, and art director at Brick Visual. Márton is the chief creative director, and I would like to get a bit more information from you guys. Tell us a bit more about you, about Brick, the project that you do, what type of customers, clients do you have, and yeah, and actually let you guys talk.
All right. Hello, guys.
Hi, guys.
It's nice to be here with you, and that we can share all of you a bit about Brick and about this project. I'll do this first part. Tell a bit about Brick. I'm not sure how many of our viewers are familiar with us, but maybe some of you are. So I will keep it short, I promise. And then we can get to the more interesting part, the making of itself. So Brick is by default an architectural visualization studio. We just turned 10 years old. We've been making still images for architectural studios, and animations, also interactive sometimes. Why I'm saying that we've been doing it and by default is that just recently we managed to make a huge step forward and managed to jump into the media and entertainment industry. And we didn't have a chance to show our capabilities or skills in that field so far. That's why we were super happy to get this chance and show it through this trailer or announcement trailer of Vantage 2. But Andrea will tell more what we really wanted to show with this and why it was a great opportunity for us. I just wanted to summarize it this way, that it shows our new future as well, and we are super excited about that.
And super proud.
And super proud, yes.
Yeah,
so
we're also very excited. Sounds really, really interesting.
So if you don't mind, then I can jump on the presentation. So
right, yeah. Just a quick summary for our viewers here. With Chaos approached you to do this video. You know, we consider you as our friends. You've been doing lots of things with Vantage. We had a couple of webinars with you guys, and Andrea did this amazing shirt before. So yeah, so it was only logical for us to reach out to you and you know, we'll collaborate on this project. So, but we also kind of left the idea in your hands. So how was the video idea born? How was it born? How did you get all this, you know, inspiration? Can you talk about more? Can you talk about this a bit more?
Sure. So first of all, in general, I think that there is a huge thank you from our side, because I think that this video looks cool and we are really happy. And I think that this is just because we work together. And one thing that I would like to mention is that we did start the project together, but we also started as a break, as a tester for the beta version of Vantage. So actually how everything started is that we start testing Vantage heavily, and then Chaos Group come to us and ask us if we wanted to create the Vantage trailer release. And of course, like after like few seconds, we said, yeah, huge yes. So, and since then everything started. So
actually we even started messing around with the Vantage before it was called Vantage. The first versions we even tested. So it wasn't new for us, but already the beta version blew us away. We were blown away about the capabilities and how good it is. So it was an instant yes. Exactly. Also because of the opportunity.
Exactly. So, and in terms of idea, everything started with the big question: what is going to be about? What is going to be about this animation? So, and I've been asking this question to myself for a few days, because actually I felt the pressure, or like the excitement to create something cool. So, and honestly, I tried to dig into my brain as much as I could in terms of what could be the idea and what is the thing that I love the most. And there comes one of my personal experience. So this is Bong Joon-ho, which is a director for Parasite, which is a movie which won a prize, which is Oscar, like a little prize award. And what happens that during his speech of like when he accepted the prize, the awarding, basically he had during his speech he had a quote from Martin Scorsese, and the quote is this one: "The most personal is the most creative." I honestly believe that this is actually one of my favorite quotes in terms of being creative, because it's actually quite simple, seems quite simple, but actually is really it's deep in my soul, because when you're trying to be creative, you need to take advantage of your personal experience. You need to take advantage of your personal point of view, what makes you laugh, what makes you what you like about something, what's your personal what's your taste. And I think that based on that, you need to express your personal vision through your tools, which for us is like visual contents. And only if you're doing yourself with if you're trying to be yourself, being personal, then you can be creative enough. So, and in the creative process, I think that we can split what happened into two big sections. One was the idea, or in general ideas. Being creative is always like about idea. We felt that ideas are the main driver for the narrative, for the storyboard, and for the story of our animation, but which is made by memory, experience, background, and so on, references as well, movie references. But at the same time, what I felt is that technique is always something which is really playing a huge role when you're trying to be creative, especially because in our field, knowing and learning a new programs, it seems like learning a new language. And when you're learning a new language, what is happening is that your brain is opening up to different possibilities. So for example, if you are learning simulation software, then you're opening up possibilities to be creative towards that direction as well. Or if you are using a real-time program, as we did for Vantage, you're actually starting exploring different possibilities. So how you are approaching the video is slightly different. So you are reversing the mechanic. And so I would say that ideas and techniques both played a huge role in terms of what was the idea about, or what we wanted to put on in the animation. The story is quite simple, actually. It's quite personal because is about like the everyday or daily life of a 3D artist. And we wanted to approach it in a funny way. We know that our life is based on struggle of receiving comments, trying to deal with the client, try to still be creative, or try to take the best out of it or express ourselves is an applied art, and we like it as it is. And I think that in this case, what we wanted to tell is this story, which I really feel like mine, and to try to make it funny, to try to play with this idea of, how can I say, like suffer at the end of the day, but at the same time, we wanted to make it exciting as much as we could, because I personally still believe that this job is really creative, no? So, and but the issue was that we wanted to create an animation driven by a main character, an hero character, and here came the very first question: can we try to do it with a green screen character? Because we truly wanted to do that. In this case, with this project, this is actually me. That's funny because this is actually me a few weeks earlier than Chaos came to us to ask for this trailer, just because I'm quite passionate about cinema in general, how their cinema has been done in general, movie. This is me in my backyard trying to play with the green screens. And this happened a few weeks earlier. And this is actually another test, or one of the tests that I did with Vantage before the Vantage was like even set at all, think about. And I knew that from that moment, I knew that we wanted to create a animation hero character based in green screen using Vantage, because actually this is a shot that has been done in one day. Character shooted and blended, tracked, and rendered everything in one day, which for me was really surprisingly good. And
I have to say that's really cool. Sorry about interrupting, but yeah, this shots looks really cool, especially for a backyard session. You know, one day.
Yeah. No, that for me was
session.
mind-blowing. Yeah, this is me in the morning shooting myself with a camera, green screen, and I had this result at the end of the day with a few iterations in it. So, and I felt, okay, this is easy, so why not try?
Amazing. And I see you're also picking up the acting job.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if this is gonna be my first and last. We will see. But for now, I enjoy it, but maybe it's not for me.
We will get to that part in the presentation, how we chose Andrea to be the main character. Yeah. It was a hard selection.
Yeah, that was fun. We will see, but honestly, I prefer to stay behind the camera, not in front. So yeah, so we had the idea of creating this animation. We wanted to create this story and using a green screen character, so a real character, to try to push this program to the limit. And so we started jumping into the narrative process. So here in Brick, we have a few storyboard artists. So we wanted to dig into it to test this idea further and to see which are the cameras that we would like to play, how could be the story, how could be the climax to play. And we wanted to create sections in this animation. This, we planned since the beginnings that this animation was not about sound, or not about acting properly with voice. It was mostly about sound effects and eyes and like acting, body language. So based on that, we tried to already base some framing, for example, some close-ups on the eyes of the characters, because we heavily based on narrative or the process based on that. At the end of the process, we came up with the final storyboard, which is actually quite similar to the final result. And we came up with this idea. So the main character would have in his room, working as usual, is almost his 6. He's trying to deal with a 3D scene. And actually, I mean, suddenly he's receiving an email. And since then, he's becoming anxious because he needs to leave or whatever. And in that moment, he's a bit bleeding, as we are usually doing it late in the evening. And instantly you think, okay, shall we go in Vantage? Shall we jump in Vantage? And since then is what is happening, what we call visual insanity. So a sort of a craziness of effects in which our hero character is building up the scene instantly using Vantage. And we already planned a sort of climax from the beginning to try to reach a point to make the final scenes as visually impactful as possible. Based on the storyboard, what we instantly understood was that we wanted to play in 2 different stages. One was the apartment, which is the main location of the hero character, and the second was the city. And we wanted to play with 2 different scales to try to go on a macro approach, looking at details, trying to direct photography in a way that was like good looking. But in a second part, we wanted to try to push this push this program to the limit, try to include as much geometry as possible, as many visual effects as possible, crazy cameras. So, and based on that, we just simplify all the animation into macro scenes. So we started instantly with the apartment scene. Those are the very early print screens that I took when I started that day building up and creating the mockup and then blocking of the apartment scene. As you can see, those are really early stage process. But what is cool from my side is that while I was blocking the scene, I was already testing the color palette that I wanted. I was already testing the PNG sequence inside the monitor. So I was able to already stick a self-illuminated plane with a sequence they wanted in the monitor and play like real time. So for me, it was quite cool to already experiment the scene while I was modeling it. It's a circular process, not just like a linear one. And I felt it was really nice to play in this way.
And it also does matter when it comes to a composition. If you just check it in a viewport, it might not be the same as with lights. Lights do affect the composition itself. It's not 2 separate things. So seeing a scene already lit might bring you a totally different composition. So that's why it's very cool to see it live.
Exactly. And if you remember the movie, on the 2 windows now, those are too bright. What I had to do, I added curtains to try to then have a focal point in the middle. So with light, with shadows, with colors, and with materials, you're already playing with all the things that you need real time, especially with the depth of field, which in movies or animation is really a basic feature. And yeah, so one thing that then we try to experiment, we understood that this software has potential. So I tried to figure out a way, because I kind of blown away by Avatar in general. James Cameron is using a virtual camera. So I thought, I think that that's doable with Vantage as well. Of course, with like smaller equipment, smaller hardware,
Smaller budget.
smaller budget. So what I ended up with was like a system with a tracker in which I was able to navigate almost real time. Of course, it's really depending on hardware, connections, internet connection, and so on. But I was able to experiment the scene real time, which is, as a video maker or someone who grew up with a video camera in his hand, for me, filled up the gap between being a CG artist and being like a video maker. You are literally already experimenting cameras, views, angles, almost real time. So as you can see, this is like what I saw in the monitor real time, first time. As you can see, 3ds Max viewport on the right, left side instead, Vantage on top of it. It's really a bit blurry, it's a bit messy, frame rate is not really high, but as you can see, then you can lower it, then you can optimize it, and this scene is close, so a lot of GI. But from my perspective, this is already cool because you can experiment materials, lighting, and so on in cameras. Same cameras rendered as a PNG sequence back in the days in 10 minutes each sequence. So that's the power of the tool that I was testing. That's the power of the tool that we worked on this animation. And personally, for me, this was really a game changer. As you can see, this is a proper camera. So even if you are trying to give the feeling of an handshake camera, this can work as well. And then you have it real time. The only thing that I tweaked a bit in this was the depth of field and motion blur, just to make it like more believable. But that was exactly what I saw at the beginning.
And we were not running this on an insane hardware.
No, honestly, so. Yeah. Specs on my computer is average. So yeah. Because we wanted to try this. We wanted to see if this can be done with a medium computer as well, as a test. So after this process, we ended up finding new angles for our storyboard. So we knew that we wanted to create this, we wanted to play with the hero character playing this role, but without saying anything. So we really wanted to play with emotions, so visual expressions, body. And in this case, based on the cameras that we discovered, we planned with our storyboarder the composition and what we wanted our main character to act like. And those are just 2 examples of it. And in that moment, I was like, honestly, I was taking a bit of a time because I knew I wanted to shoot like a green screen with a real character, but I was not sure about who was the real character. So
here came the big process of selecting the main character. Basically, everybody said no. So
and everybody said Pedro.
Andrea had to do it on his own.
So actually, that was my first casting, and
that was the big process of exactly selecting the hero.
Yeah. No. So what we felt is that in a way, I was traveling in that moment of my life. So, and we wanted to be quick to test a few iterations. And in order to do that, I wanted to be open for a reshoot. So in that case, especially for the exterior scenes, in which the green screen room that we have is not really needed, we wanted to be still flexible in a way that, okay, this shooting has not been done correctly, we can reshoot it like from scratch. So we wanted to be open. And honestly, at the beginning was a bit like weird to stay in front of a camera, but after a while was fun as well. So not really dramatic.
Yeah. And yeah, as you can see it in the first test of Andrea, it can be done in the backyard as well. Obviously here at Brick, we have a bigger green screen studio, so that was also a great help, but we would encourage anybody to just play around. It's not necessarily needed.
Yeah, part of it, especially, I would like to mention now maybe that the very first part of the animation, until a point where the main character is then jumping in the virtual world or virtual insanity with Vantage, the very first part, which is almost like 30 to 40 seconds, has been done in 1 week, shooting and rendering. Of course, we planned it like accordingly, but that part has been done in 1 week.
Yeah, and of course here we have to mention again a huge thank you to you guys letting us do whatever we dreamed to do at the beginning, because yes, it's possible to progress that fast if we have the freedom and we can shape the narrative freely. But yeah, also it was
we
planned.
were happy to do so, and I think the result is worth it.
I think that the very first time that we showed it to Simeon, he didn't believe it that we did the very first section like from in 1 week. So I think that was cool. Of course, it's really depending on how sharp you are, how much are you planning, but of course, it was a good result. Of course, those scenes has been done for the interior scenes. So for where we're shooting in the apartment, for example, this is a comp that we did. And that was interesting because that's one of the very first time where we tried to reach a good, we tried to use like CG doubles in our scenes. As you can see, the lighting, we set up a lighting which was fitting the overall lighting of the scene. And it was like a circular process in which we started planning this way, then we adjusted the CG accordingly. Second part, which is cool to mention in this shot, is that, as you can see, part of the table is real. So what we wanted to create, to try to have an interaction with the objects, which was believable, we started planning our shots, with what we had in-house, so with the furnitures that we had, and based on that, we remodeled, or we had the same model. And in this way, we were able to cut the portions of real assets, CGI assets, to be flexible, to play with this, to make it as precise as we wanted. This was like fun and challenging.
Yeah, and because this involves many iterations, I was just wondering at what part of the process did you start using Vantage?
Since the beginning. Since the beginning, because actually if you are shooting a character like this, you're not talking just about the angle. You are talking about light as well, local contrast, global contrast.
Right.
And with this Vantage, I was like sitting with my laptop, and I already had, for example, 1 frame rendered in Vantage. I just comped it live because I knew that, okay, I need to reach this level of quality in terms of lighting. So,
and maybe we will get to that, and we'll discuss that later on a bit more, but basically what we enjoy now using Vantage is that really from the beginning, in the pre-production or previous phase, it comes very handy to show things to you, to the client, already rendered. It's just like drafting for still image projects. If you can show already more or less the final-ish looking result, you can first of all sell the idea much better, and you are not lying too much to yourself or to your client how it will look like. Because if it's a viewport preview, after rendering it, it can look anything. But if it's the thing from the beginning, it speaks for itself, basically.
Yeah. And for example, you ask which part we used Vantage instantly, because, for example, the first section has been rendered in 1 week just because of this. We skipped the animatic phase on the portion of the animation that allows us to already proceed in this direction.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, this is another shot that I honestly like, because in this shot we faced another challenge in a way. We wanted to have a believable character with a believable highlight on the shoulders, and in order to do that, the only option was not using the green screen room, but shooting outside, because we wanted to have that particular look. And so we just like, we took all the green screen stuff upstairs on our rooftop, and we did it like in one day as well. The shot actually that you see right now is a comped version, and you see there is already like a light pass. So which was cool because the elements were something that we really wanted.
Yes.
And we were able to use them in the comp phase as well.
Again, thanks for listening to our request, and you guys made this happen. Kind of very much during the process, but early on we were discussing that, wow, we really need it, and you guys just made it happen. So that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a popular request. But
yeah.
am I correct to assume that adding the different passes, in this case the lighting, helped in composing the real life footage? And
a lot, because
that's a game changer.
It's a game changer for shadows. We use atmosphere, we use shadows, we use the multi, we use lighting, we use reflection as well.
Look really at important. Those trees without the lighting element.
Exactly.
They look not so good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like what Márton said about not lying to yourself. That's very fitting. This, you know.
Yes,
exactly. So after this part, we knew that we were able to show everything green screen. From that moment, we focused mostly on the visual effects and the look development. That's a section. This is a live session between me and one of our colleagues. And we tried to schedule the narrative. We wanted to the story to build up a climax. So since the beginning, from an empty scene until a point where we can see a fully crowded city. And based on that, we schedule visual effects step by step.
Yeah, and Bogdan, we can say his name. He did
exactly.
a very great
Bogdan,
job. He's our great storyboard artist and lead artist here at Brick. So thumbs up to him, making these sketches super fast.
Exactly. So then another process that we liked a lot was the blocking of the scenes. Everything that you see has been done in a few days, no more than this. Iteration, so the simulation itself, scene, lighting, rendering, and reiteration. Those are not really good looking visual effects, honestly, but these are the starting point where we started. So we just started and think, okay, which are the visual effects, which is most likely the one that we would like to use in this scene, which is the style that we would like to use. And based on that, we started like experimenting, and of course, real time. So with a visual effect, which is not extremely heavy, we were able to play real time. So lighting, timing, the tree itself, how does it move, or the room, the apartment, how is like disappearing? Is it disappearing with the speed that I want? How is the shadow? How is the depth of field? We were already able to test those things instantly. This is another test that we did. So basically here, same example, a car, simple green screen or portable green screen, tracked camera, and the visual effect that we wanted to test. And in this case, same approach. We did it in one day. We went out, shot, recorded, tracked, and then comped it. And I think that this is a game changer, at least from our perspective, because it's speeding up the process. And after the look development, we started thinking about the animatic. We still believe for this project that the animatic was really important because we wanted to schedule step by step the narrative and the visual effects in the animation. And why? Especially because for the group of people that we have here in Brick, which are the visual effects artists, it's really important to then shape the idea, give them a bit of creativity, but give them a direction, and mostly give them some borders in terms of timing, in terms of GPU consumage. So we started thinking
number of frames.
Exactly.
Which can be critical when it comes to a heavy simulation.
Exactly. And we started putting together all the view effects in the same scene to see how was the overall look of it. And as you can see, this is the very first animatic that we did. Of course, it looks not really great, but this is part of the process. This is what they call previs in the movie industry. And this is just blocking how the overall idea of the VFX is appearing in the screen, how the visual effects are like talking each other.
Actually, I think we haven't even presented this like this, no, because we skipped
Kinda, yeah.
after that, because we were like, hey, but we can just render this, right?
Exactly.
And Vantage helped us to skip it, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys saw this blocking ever. First thing that we showed was a rendered something.
The first part for sure, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I wonder if it took significantly different amount of time between grabbing the viewport, getting the previs from the viewport versus rendering it with Vantage at low settings, of course. But
low settings, from my perspective, low settings worth the time to wait a bit more, but having something which has light already.
Especially if you just want to show it as a quick preview, not final quality looking. It's really not so.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Then we jumped into the visual effects process. So as you can see, left part, the lame tree that we built up. Second one on the right is the one that we shaped and developed. The amount of hours that we put in this is decently big because we wanted to make it look cool, how the branches are like moving, the branches flexible. So we wanted to try to push it. And here comes the funny part of using Vantage. This is an interface of Tyflow, which is the program we used. And this is how does it look during the process. Does it look really, really cool, honestly? It's just like a geometry which is moving. And this comes how I'm using Vantage. I'm usually opening the live link on the other screen. And while I'm playing the tie cache, which is the simulation itself, I'm navigating inside the Vantage. And I'm just like, I'm looking for different angles. I'm studying the asset out. I'm looking how the pieces are like hitting each other. And that could be a really game changer, but also like a time consuming issue, because then it's creating a sort of addiction. At least for myself, I really like to open up the visual effects and play with it. So, and that's honestly.
I called really nice. Andrea sometimes. Are you still watching this?
sorry. Back to yeah. And yeah, so you are able to see the assets real time, which is really nice.
That's amazing.
So based on this, that we push the VFX to our limit, time-wise and hardware, to make it look cool, to tidy up, and then we render it out to see how that I was looking. Same approach as we did. We used the virtual camera because in this case, just for fun, honestly, because we felt that this was a really nice scene, nice details. We jumped into this scene with the virtual camera and we just experience it real time. Those are other sequences that we took. And as you see, of course, we render them. So this is a live viewport with a virtual camera. This instead is a rendered version of it, which took around maybe 20 minutes each, but just because of the motion blur and the depth of field. So the only thing that I tweaked personally was the motion blur and the depth of field. That was it. And we just like did for fun for this example. This instead was probably the favorite scene of one of our visual effect guys, which is Anton.
And mine.
One of the favorite actually, and of everybody.
Yeah.
And so this is how we try to approach the visual effect. So we wanted to make it believable. So we inverse the mechanic of the simulation. We just throw a ball, or Anton just throw a ball against the glass, and based on how the glass behave, he tried to replicate that, and then we reimbursed the effects. So we wanted to, especially for the effects that could have been done realistically, we wanted to study references a lot to make them good look. And of course, we just show so far small examples of small effects, but actually we did the same with big scenes. This is probably the nightmare of our colleague, because it has been done through a few processes of iterations and is consuming a lot of GPU, just because this scene itself is so heavy. But we managed to do that, and this is part of the game. You want to achieve a good result, and you need to balance the hardware, the amount of data you want to use. And as you can see, then still we had a bit of time playing around with the asset to see, okay, is the staircase breaking in the way that I would like to? Is our colleague would like to be a bit more picky, so make it like even better. So, and we just jump into Vantage to see how it was looking, and we play with the sun to see sun direction, how is the scene behaving, and so on. After this, of course, the thing that you saw is just like a small piece about everything that we did for this project. And everything has been done just because of a really rigid schedule. Creativity needs to be flexible, but production needs to be kind of precise and tidy. Otherwise, otherwise you're not going to finish your job in time. So we made a list of this is how we are working. So we are making a list of the shot, which then contains the in-house or client comments, and we are trying to dig into how we can make this thing looking better. And then, yeah, we just like proceed step by step. And I would like to mention that every scene from the beginning of the exterior scenes, so when the guy is jumping into the exterior environment, we have a lot of VFX, really a lot. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Then comes the fun part, or the most satisfying part, in which you are then blending things together. The character, the type flow, or the effects that you worked on, the material that you want to apply it. So for example, we had to be careful with the amount of geometry. So we play with materials mostly to make the curtains, for example. So we try to be clever and smart. And this is where the magic comes, basically. Another really cool thing, one of my favorites. So
is this also your favorite?
One of them, yeah. I have a few of them.
Forgive him if he's saying it too much.
Yeah. No, I am. So in this case, what we wanted to, we put some hidden jokes or quotes. And in this one, for example, we wanted to put an Inception quote. As you can see, there is a bar. In Inception, the bar is exploding. We wanted to make it like work vice versa. And one of our 3D artists like to play piano, so we drop a piano. We wanted to also add smoke, which is something really tricky in Vantage. So we wanted to still use it. So we use the PNG sequence to make it look cool, and we are passing through it. Another favorite
also
one, yeah, is this scene where we wanted to still have like a pullback camera. Pullback cameras are usually really cool because they are showing a lot of the scene. You are discovering the scene going backward. And what we wanted is to make this camera really immersive. And we put the camera inside the debris to show the amount of the geometry that we could handle. Probably what you saw so far is really like just a sneak peek about what we did. And I think that we really push our limit with this project, in this program, and some scenes are really heavy. This is one of the time lapse. This is the time lapse that we did as a last shot, and we had to handle it like wisely because of the amount of geometry. We used forest packs, simulations, Cinema 4D characters, a lot of stuff. So we had to play or use our equipment wisely, but we nailed it. So yeah, so I think that was it from our side. And I think that this project It's really a starting point for us, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of good time working on this. So we just say we can say that we really enjoy doing it, and
yeah, very much. And
yeah,
thank you for the opportunity.
We enjoyed the results. Actually, working with you guys was really a pleasure, especially because we didn't need to actually do many iterations, so almost none iterations with that. So from our standpoint, also it was a great experience. Now, one thing I had a note here to ask, but I kind of got it within the webinar. We had a question on our YouTube comments for the video. The shot where you're kind of closing your hands and then putting the building together. The guy was asking if this is a reference to or inspiration from Moonlight by any chance? Can you tell us more about that?
Almost. They almost got us. No, it's so one of our inspiration was Doctor Strange, but we're talking about Marvel, so same universe.
Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, same universe.
MCU.
Exactly.
I see. So close enough. All right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Almost.
Right. Thank you.
Good guess.
Right. So I have one other question. So you demonstrated great technical versatility with that. Although Vantage has a lot of limitations with rendering, and we're aware of that, and we're trying to shrink the gap and introduce more features. Still, there are lots of things that are not supported, and you kind of made it work. But how do you see Vantage being used in the future? You mentioned you're shifting to the M&E space. How do you see Vantage meeting your needs there?
Maybe I can chime in on that.
Yes, probably.
It's basically how we touched upon this topic during the webinar. We feel that from now on, Vantage will be a must-have tool in our pipeline. Basically, we would like to have all our animation artists or movie team. We have 4 movie teams here at the Brick, and we want all of the artists sitting there to have a Vantage installed. Hope you will let us have that. And basically, what we want to achieve is this freedom of that tool, that during a previous, they are no longer restricted to a viewport preview or basically just having to render something by the next morning and then seeing the result if the render came nicely and there was no power cut during the night, but instantly being able to show the light setup they imagined, the composition, how they imagined with the light, or the VFX that they just simulated. And it's just not a cache anymore in this pipeline. It's a rendered real preview. So we want to have this tool. We basically already have it. We just now realized through this project that it is a must-have, and all of us should have it installed, and basically it should be running on the second or third monitor of every artist.
It's like iteration makes the shot perfect. This is speeding up the iteration phase. So
yes. And in even shorter, with an even shorter explanation, we don't want to deliver lame viewport previews anymore. We want to show rendered previews to our clients from now on. Basically, that's it. It comes together nicely with Brick's future steps, as we are as we already put our feet into the media and entertainment industry, movie industry a bit, this is a must for us and a game changer. So two things are coming together nicely. Thank you for that.
Great. No, of course. Thank you again for choosing that. You're doing amazing experiments. Also putting, as Andrea put it really nicely, pushing the problem to the limit. And we really need, guys like you, pushing the limits and thinking outside the box, thinking how we can be utilizing utilizing technology better. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Amazing stuff, guys. We've got plenty of viewer questions. So should we get cracking?
Yes.
Sure. Hit us.
All right. We've got, will there be an option in Vantage to change texture mapping? Textures from Cinema 4D come in broken, even those that have correct mapping.
Yeah, okay. I think this is more.
Maybe not all of us are to us.
No, I've got a few technical ones here.
We are very happy to answer all artistic questions.
Yes, makes sense. Right. Yeah, we're working on finalizing supporting all of the cinema texture plugins or the texture mappings. But I believe this question is more related towards changing the texture mapping directly within Vantage. My suggestion here is, so we are not there yet to be adding material editing capabilities in Vantage, so this will take more time on our end. And that would be a requirement for you to be changing the tiling or alternatively, if you want to edit the geometry, but still this is not on our current roadmap, so not we don't want to edit geometry directly in Vantage at this point. But my suggestion at this point would be to either be using more generic approaches like triplanar mapping, or be adjusting the UVs in the host application, in this case Cinema 4D. If it's the case of some unsupported projection mode or mapping mode, then we should take a look at that and add support for that. But yeah, again, editing directly in Vantage is we're not there yet. We're focusing on performance, adding supported features, and so on.
All right. How did you film the woman live footage with the 3ds Max brick building in real time? Is there a rig for that? Maybe an iPad?
No, it's not a real-time compositing. So
that one, not, but there were others.
Yeah. If I can try to, we can check it together. So if we are talking about, I really hope that we're talking about this one.
So yeah,
this is not a real-time compositing application. So what we did is that we shoot the real camera, so with an iPhone, and then we track that camera. We just use a program to highlight the girl out of the movie or the video, and then we stick her into the scene. So we are not talking about real-time compositing.
Here not, but there were other cases when whatever you see, basically the VFX shots when you were wandering around in the apartment, maybe that's the best, where compositing might not be, but these are shot real time.
Yeah,
with our in-house.
Yeah. So there is a system which is a bit of a Frankenstein of like pieces stick together that allows you to use an iPad real time. So maybe in the future, maybe we can even like
on a Microsoft Surface you were using.
Yeah. Same. It's just like you're just using a tablet as a monitor, and then you are projecting your computer into that monitor. It's a bit tricky, require
And
a
then-
bit of preparation, but then when you are set it up smoothly, then
and then HTC Vive
yeah,
controller.
yeah. So
if you guys are curious, we can do a
little
quick,
tutorial on this.
technical
Yeah,
tutorial or breakdown how this
I'm pretty sure there are lots of interested people
Oh.
in this approach.
in our Balkan solution
Exactly.
for real-time tracking.
Yeah,
All right.
a budget virtual production setup.
exactly. That would be fantastic.
Yes, budget-friendly virtual production.
Were the
Right,
fractures and object effects made in TyFlow? Do you export from TyFlow as a V-Ray mesh?
No, what we did, we used the 3ds Max TyFlow. After TyFlow, we exported as a TyCache because we felt that was the lightest way to read the TyFlow. Meshes are usually a bit heavier, and especially in our real-time program, which is a Vantage that we are using is a live link, we need to be as fast as possible. So we try to find the quickest readable format, which is TyCache. Otherwise, you're gonna slow down your viewport, which is then not really working for us.
Yeah, but as you could see, it worked decently.
Pro tip for performance here.
So what are the other benefits for you in using Vantage besides the speed?
What is the speed?
Beside it being quick, are there any other advantages?
Okay. For me, light-wise, for me, depth of field, for me, motion blur. So even if you are not using it for the final production, if you want to explore the scene, I'm usually opening it instantly. So when I have a scene, I'm opening Vantage on my secondary monitor because I'm really exploring scenes. So I'm exploring lighting, I'm exploring cameras. Depth of field, for example, is crazy fast.
Yes.
So
if speed is not enough, I mean, even if it was speed, that's a huge thing, in my opinion. Yeah, but it's for us, it's more like that ability to explore scenes and seeing already the final result while exploring. Of course, if you have thousands machines to the render farm and you can reach the same render speed with all those computers, you might not care about the normal rendering out speed, but you might want to check your electricity bills as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, simple rendering speed is also amazing, but being able to explore live is the thing why we love it.
Especially because, for example, one thing that I've been blown away is the volumetric fog. So in that case, I was like, okay, is this volumetric fog real time? I checked it and it was real. So, and this is priceless, at least from my side.
I can even say, why don't we use it?
Yeah,
in the trailer, no?
Unfortunately,
bittersweet story.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fog is something that has been done like a bit later than our starting day of production and
yeah,
Vantage,
we were kind of done, but if we had that back then, for sure we would have had a scene with massive fog. Maybe next time. Vantage 3.0 trailer.
In any projects in between.
Count on us, you're gonna see a lot of fog.
All right, did you need to change your workflow with creating still images to be able to render animations in Vantage in terms of lighting, materials, etc.?
Not so much, honestly. There are like a few materials which are not supported yet, but most of them are working already. The only thing that we had to change was the fog and the environmental fog, which is not really linked to 3ds Max. But the only thing that you need to do is that you're opening up your scene And from my experience, you're just slightly changing your mindset just for those little things that needs to be handled by Vantage.
Yeah.
But in general, just a few things needs to be handled differently, maps wise.
Yeah, and but we circle back to the same topic. I think even if you render the scene with normal V-Ray, at the end, Vantage gives you this ability to test a lot of kind of light setups way faster with the camera. You could use interactive as well, but it doesn't handle things this efficiently. So
only a few materials, we wanted to texture them in a good way. So we just went in a baking texture process just for a few of them because of some features which are not included yet.
Yeah.
All right. And when you do the test animation, you import in Vantage or VR Scene, or is it live connected using 3S Max?
From our experience, we are mostly using the live link. Reason is simple, because it's crazy flexible. So there are, so when you're animating things, some things that you're animating are really based on creativity and weird way of setting things. And some things could not work maybe on the V-Ray static scenes. And plus, the cool thing is that I'm using live link, so I'm able to check it like real time. So, and then I can circle back to 3ds Max. We are a studio which is heavily based on 3ds Max. So we are trying to use this tool in our way, which is working for us.
Any optimization tips and tricks to use for huge scenes to save memory and prevent scene crashing?
Like always,
yeah,
clean your file.
Clean your file. I mean,
use instances.
One game changer that I experienced was that there is a bit, a size downsampling that has been included in one of the beta that we tested during the production time. And what means that basically when is that activated, works in a way that as far as you are getting from an asset, the GPU is not consuming the full res for the bitmaps for that asset. So if you are far 1 kilometer from that object is not asking the GPU to render the full texture, but just like a piece of it. And I think that since that moment, that moment was a game changer, because a lot of scenes that we were trying to compress, scaling down textures, we were able to render them instantly because of this option. But one thing would be optimization, clean file, and try to compress maps in general, which
yes. It's usually not even poly count or particle count.
So maybe
in many cases the maps.
Downscaling textures for objects which are really, really far. Of course, we would like to see everything in 4K, reality in 8K. But if you are talking about management or like managing our scenes, it's not really worth it to have like an 8K EXR texture for a pen in the background. So it's really, we need to work in a clever way.
Yeah, but I'm sure you guys know scripts, you can use to downscale all your textures. If not, ask us in the comments. We'll try to answer.
All right. I think we're getting near to the end here. So I'm going to ask one more question. But if we don't get around to answering all of the questions, head over to the forums and we will get back to you there. What does Brick consider a medium computer to be with regards to equipment specs?
Maybe you can say yours.
The one that I used, we basically used two type of hardware here. So, and we are talking mostly about like GPU because it's the big thing which is changing.
Yes.
We have two graphic cards. One is the 24 gigs, which is our beast. And the other one, yeah, and the other one is a 12 gig TAF gaming 360 and 3060, which is the basic one, honestly.
Yeah.
And we honestly started with that one, and we compressed VFX until we saw that the VFX was good. So I would say 40% of the scenes, maybe more because of the first part. I would say 60% or 55% of the scenes has been rendered with a 12 gig graphic card, even more maybe.
Good news that usually you can fit into this 12 gigs of the 3060. Why is it good news? I think prices dropped of that video card around the world heavily, here as well in Hungary. So they are very cheap nowadays. Of course, compared to what, but compared to all other RTX cards, these are very cheap, and those 12 gigs are enough.
Yeah, of course, if you are going wild with visual effects, you need to go for a 24. And honestly, from my perspective, my experience, visual effects such as type flow effects, as we did, they really need to be optimized a lot. Because if you are not optimizing those, which are really having a huge impact on GPU, then you could have a big beast, but then you're not really optimizing that so much. We didn't test yet the 4090, but this is something that we would like to try, especially for the virtual camera thing, because we think that could be a game changer because of speed.
Would love to test it, but we can say it frankly, we didn't use that. So you can get away and play around with the 3060 easily and have nice results.
With a bit of management.
Oh, of course, you always have to optimize your scenes. If you don't optimize, maybe the 4090 is not enough either.
Exactly.
Yes. Great stuff. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, thank you very much again for the opportunity, and
we really enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, really enjoyed the ride, and looking forward to the next updates. Can't wait to use it.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for your amazing presentation, and everyone for attending. If you haven't tested out Vantage yet, you can grab a 30-day free trial from our website. Go to chaos.com. We'll be sending out the recording shortly. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out if you've got any questions. And that's it for today's webinar. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.